Hello, Aaron, can you hear me?
Good morning, Joanne. Can you hear us?
Yes, good morning, Aaron. 早安.
Good morning, 안녕하세요.
Can you hear me from here, Joanne?
Yes, I could. Yeah.
Let me adjust the audio because you're connected to the amplification in the room.
Uh-huh. Of course. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, Joanne, now you are live, and obviously we can see you, but I'll find a way so that you can see the room. I'm just going to pass the time to you and Cici to coordinate,
Sure.
and then you and both Cici have the ability to share your slides. So you have the next hour or so.
Let me,
Okay.
do I need to, because she needs to see well the slide
Yeah.
is. I mean, she needs to see the progress of the slide. Should I share it in Zoom? Let me
You
see.
can share the Zoom.
Let me see here. This one, share. Can you see it, Joanne?
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Cici.
Okay. Oh, yeah, good. That looks good.
Okay.
So how do I? Oh, good. Okay, good. Good morning again. Okay, so it's my honor to be here to share with you some of the tips or experience as an author, reviewer, and also work with Mariana help her with the journal. So I'm here with Joanne. Joanne is also an associate editor of the journal. I'm pretty sure all of you already know me because I was in the conference with Mariana after 2 days. So I'll let Joanne to introduce herself since she is not here with you for the past 2 days. Joanne, go ahead.
Okay. Cici, so I'm sorry, I cannot hear you clearly. So do you want me to introduce myself now?
Yes, go ahead and introduce yourself. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. 안녕하세요. This is Jung Soo from Iowa State University. Currently, I'm the associate editor for the JHTM. Please do submit your manuscripts to our journals. I would like to just briefly introduce myself. As Cici, she introduced me. Currently I'm the associate professor and the director of graduate education at Iowa State. The overarching theme of my research is sustainability. I particularly focus on narrow down to the ESG, which is, I believe, it's a pretty hot topic in South Korea, and sustainable service experience design, as well as the growing economy. I'm very fortunate to receive the more than 20 sustainability related awards, such as the 2021 iCareer Research Award and the highest award from the Event Industry Council. So if you have any research topics or any questions about sustainability, I will be more than happy to discuss with you and to share my insight with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. So as I just said, Mariana, we made the we made the slide separately, but there's a lot of repetition when I watch your slides. So we do have 3 parts in our sharing the slide. I think we're going to go through the first 2 parts quickly and go through add on more details to what Mariana has shared. So we do have the common projection from author side, reviewer side, and also we have the criteria of good research, which we have a lot of similar things as that Mariana has shared. We also will go through more details into the structure of the paper, and also some writing and submission tips for early career researchers and PhD students. So Joanne, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Cici. Yeah. Okay, for the following few minutes, I would like to share with you common reasons why your paper get rejections. According to as the JHTM, that we adopt the APA style, which is from the American Psychological Association. So as you can see from this slide, the APA, the American Psychology Association, they identify the two main category why your paper get rejected. Okay, the first one, if you can see the text highlight in red, it all falls into the problem with research. For instance, your paper is not relevant to JSTM readers, which I believe our editor-in-chief, Mariana, she already shared with you, out of scope of our journal. And the second is your paper doesn't make a contribution to new knowledge. As a researcher, we always want to learn from each other. We want to know how your study, how your research can help us to advance our knowledge and to help us to learn. The second category, the American Psychological Association, they identified why your paper get rejection is basically for your failure for the preparation and the writing. And for instance, does your paper meet establish the ethical standards? In the United States, when we conduct each research related to the human beings, we need to run the IRB. So ensure your research paper, before you conduct, before you collect data, you have followed the essential and required ethical standards. And also ensure your paper is well written before you submit it. But most important is we understand each journal they have a different submission guideline. But I will encourage you to look at JHTM's author guidelines before you submit it. Cici, could you please transit to the next slide? Thank you. So let's talk about the problem with research. Okay, I would say in general, when you submit your paper to top tier journal like a JHTM, you need to ask yourself a question. Does your paper describe a great and a well-conducted study? For instance, is your lecture review adequate? Does your methodology, okay, perform well? For instance, your sample size, right? Very often when I receive the submissions, they want to investigate the study to the COVID, like a COVID-19 impact. However, their sample only conduct before 2019, then which it doesn't make sense to us, right? You want to investigate the COVID impact, but you collect data prior to the COVID. So just be cautious about the sample size. And also we want to see how your sample can be generalized to apply the results. Okay. And so, for instance, when you run the experimental study, you might want to use the G power to know your adequate sample size. Discussion, I personally will look at and weight very heavily in discussion. I remember my major professor told me, each paper or each like a dissertation or thesis you are going to write is not only for academia person to review, but for some like industrial practitioners, they will also look at. For instance, one of my paper is highly cited, but it's widely appear in the press, the release, the media. Okay, because those reporters, they will also look at your research and to think, okay, what the useful tips, what the practical insights they can read from your paper. So make sure your discussion will be go deeper, not just superficial. Again, we look at your paper is to advance our knowledge. So you may ask, so John, can you tell me, you talk about many reasons our paper to get the rejection. But that's any tips you can share with us, okay, to improve the percentage of acceptance? I would say, according to American Psychological Association, those are the slide you are reading now are the top 5 checklists you should ask yourself before you submit it, okay? Well, the first one is your research question. Is your research question significant? Okay, just like Mariana, she already shared, okay, is your work original, has some novelty, and it's important to advance our knowledge, okay? And ensure your instruments and your variables constructs, they can fully and comprehensively demonstrate, okay, and the reliability and the validity. Okay? And think about your research design, regardless qualitative, quantitative, mixed methods. And recently, I really like the information our editor-in-chief she shared with us. You can see more and more articles. They are doing multiple studies, okay, in a single manuscript. But you need to know, you need to justify why your study need multiple studies, not only for like oh, right now it's a trendy method, so I just want to multiple study in one manuscript. Okay, you need to justify and make every design of your paper, okay, be rational. Then you need to think, are your participants representative? Your sample, okay, can your sample represent the population you want to investigate, and it can answer the your research questions. Lastly, American Psychological Association highly recommend, okay, to think, is your research at the advanced enough stage to make the publication of the result meaningful? Okay, the result meaningful is not only for theoretical advancement, but also for the practical significance. Okay, so for instance, if they say the hotel managers, the human resource manager, when they read your results, what the possible practice they can implement to their organizations. If you recall, I shared with you the American Psychological Association also identifies the second category why your paper get rejected is writing and preparation. Okay, you can see I prepared we prepared some bullet points here, but the key point of this slide is just tell you, okay, please, we encourage all authors, when you submit your paper to JHTM, okay, the top tier journal, you need to be very cautious and careful for all and in preparation your documentation. The reason is I personally very often to see some authors, they just submit all the document in one file into our system, okay? And we understand the urgent of all the researchers, okay, all the students here, all the faculty members here, you want to get your paper accepted. But you need to be very cautious. The reason is, like for me, I will carefully check your the plagiarism. Did you perform the plagiarism? And also, if I see there are so many careless points or preparation, I will also suspect maybe you have been also careless in conducting your research. So I hope the problem with the research and the problem with the writing can give you some heads up, okay, before you submit it, how to avoid your paper get rejected. And I will turn the floor to Dr. Cici Liang, and she will explain more detail to enhance, okay, how can your paper get the revision opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, so next is the criteria of good research, which kind of replicates what Mariana just said. So I'm going to go through that quickly, especially the originality part. I think Mariana said enough already. My focus would be the last two things, what I would focus. So it's manuscript structure and also the some writing text that hopefully you're gonna get one or two things to go with you today, when you read today. Originality is really, really important, as Mariana just said. And there are some references you can go and check it out what originality means, especially in tourism. So I listed 4 references. All of them are published on either Annals or JTR, and they did some interviews with editors, interviews with high-cited authors to find out what the originality means in the hospitality field. But I'm not going to go through that in too much detail since Mariana just covered this part. So here's kind of my thinking of originality, and also I think Mariana talked about it already. So I just want to give you examples from my experience. For example, practical side, Mariana mentioned that you need to read like a broader, like read from other disciplines, read the news articles. So there was an example that it was the end of 2017 that TGI Friday, the restaurant, they started to use Alexa for food ordering. So I read that news and I automatically think, oh, this might be a good research question I can look into. So in 2018, I came up with this research idea, and then I did get a small private funding, just as Mariana mentioned. Using this idea, I got a small private funding, and I did some research and published 2-3 articles on this topic in 2018. So that's just an example that you can get ideas from industry that's gonna hopefully it's gonna help go back, your findings can go back to industry and to outcome. And another example I want to share here is about the theoretical how we expand theory. I think Mariana mentioned one thing about you want to find something different from what is different now or what is different in tourism. Although it's an existing theory, you want to find some difference. So there was a study I did to look at, I applied a theory called common identity, common input identity theory. So basically that theory said that it's kind of like a marketing theory or marketing theory. So it says that you use some message that says, okay, so the customers and the two person is in the same room. So that is very popular now in the US because we have different ethnicities, like we have black, we have white, we have Asian. So in the past, like 50 years ago, the common input identity theory was brought in to say, okay, if you frame yourself as the same ethnicity with or the same group with other ethnicity people, then you will form that closeness and you will kind of form that relationship with that group. So I tested that theory in today's context. We use the 2 different message. So one is saying that one we formed that black rum restaurant, we say, oh, this is like a local restaurant. And the other message we send out is, okay, this is a black rum restaurant. We send both message to white customers and see which message will get more support from the white. And guess what one message gets more support? It's actually the black rum restaurant, which conflicts the previous theory that common input identity theory, because it's a common input identity theory, the restaurant using the message saying that it's a local restaurant that makes that white people feel like, okay, I'm the same group with this restaurant, will make them more likely to visit the restaurant. But in today's environment, actually, white people are more likely to visit a black run restaurant. So I just think about this findings and write some stuff, and I said, okay, it's because of based on today's environment, there are so many social movements in the US. So this old theory doesn't apply anymore in today's environment. So that's just an example of how we can kind of apply the theory in today's environment and find different results to question the old theory and see if we can extend the old theory. So for methodology rigor, I'm not going to talk anymore here because I think I did put two QR codes here. One is the JHTM 2021 research symposium recording on YouTube. The other one is the 2022 research symposium recording on YouTube. So you can go there and in the previous we talked almost mentioned every single method. So I really want you to follow the YouTube. So that way when we post the different other research method related videos, you can get that. So there are mixed method, experimental method, secondary data analysis method, every single method was qualitative as well. So every single method was mentioned there on the YouTube channel. So next would be kind of the main topic of our presentation is how to write a manuscript. You have to first think manuscript writing is storytelling, and you are trying to lead your audience go through this intellectual tool in a way that you frame your study. So this tool starts with your research question and then supported by the theory, and then get into the hypothesis, and then you use data to test hypothesis and get the results. But the most importantly is to explain the results to get the meaning. So that's both Joanne and Melanie said, practical and theoretical contribution or meaning of your results. This is not easy to use. Okay. So for the manuscript, so I'm going to break it down into the 5 sections. So each manuscript should have 5 sections: introduction, literature review, methodology, results, and discussion. And then, just as Sarah just mentioned, you'll write the abstract at last. Usually, I will also write the title at last. So that's why I put 2 of them at the end. Instead of in the beginning, that's after you write what I posted by idea or what the title is exactly about and come up with abstract and title. So go through the introduction go through the introduction session. As the author, I usually break my instruction down into 3 sections or 3 paragraphs. So the first paragraph is more like a practical, real world. What is the question over there in the real world that you ask to answer? So I've seen a lot of submissions that when I even read the research question, I already know the answer. So when you come up with this research question, maybe you should ask yourself, do I really need this research? Like, okay, satisfaction, impact, your intention. Do I really need that? Anyone needs like a need to answer this question. So come up with some questions from the industry, or from the news, from other fields that you see, okay, you don't know the answer to this question without my study. I think that's the most important thing. And then the second paragraph would be your literature gap. So that's from the theory part, how you explain well your research, this research fits. So where is the gap and how your research question fill in this gap, and also some what is the theory your research is built up on. And then the last paragraph is your purpose, and and then you break your purpose into several specific objectives, and then you write it out with some contributions of your study. So very broadly, like, okay, how this study extend knowledge in this field, or like, okay, how the tourism, will help the DMO for marketing, stuff like that. So that's the 3 paragraphs usually as an author. I would like my introduction. And then literature review usually should contain 3 different parts. First is the gap, the context. So what is this research? Okay, this is in the past that other scholars have conducted research in this field. And then, okay, here's the can add some more detail, I guess. And then theoretical foundation is the biggest part of the literature review. That shows the audience how your research extend the theory or extend the knowledge and hypothesis development. Most of the quantitative studies should have the hypothesis. The quantitative that's a different story. And then look at the methodology. Both quantitative and quantitative need to have the research design, data collection, you have the instrument. So definitely for quantitative, you want to list the questions, right? Or interview questions. And then you should have like a paragraph or 2 to describe how you analyze the data. Not with the results, but just, okay, first step, second step, third step. Okay, you can use it. Let's say I used the first I did on CFA, second I did on SEM, third I did on multi-group, so just basically the steps. And then going into the results. So for quantitative, you want to present your results to match your hypothesis. Okay, so this is what I witnessed as a reviewer. Sometimes you'll see, oh, I'm testing this moderation. Okay, the moderation is significant. But then you go back to literature review. What's the hypothesis for that moderation? So all of a sudden, this moderation is tested in the result, but it was never proposed anyway. Same thing for mediation. It is so common that people say, oh, this A to B is significant, B to C is significant, so, and then I'm testing that B is mediating A versus A to C. But in the hypothesis, there's no mediation hypothesis. So whatever you're testing needs to be proposed in the hypothesis as quantitative study. For quantitative studies, you present the findings, and if you want a better theoretical contribution, you want to think more about your findings because the findings are more concrete, but then you want to see if there's any theoretical framework come from your concrete findings. That's going to make your qualitative study from tier 2 journal to tier 1 journal. That's a big difference. Last part is discussion. So for discussion, usually there are 4 sections. So discussion, theoretical contribution, practical contribution, and limitation feature research. As a review, I did find people many times confuse discussion with theoretical contributions. So like they will write a lot of specific findings in theoretical contribution. That's not your theoretical contribution, it's your findings. So your findings should be discussed in discussion session, and you want to go back to the literature and see, okay, my finding is consistent with literature, my finding conflict with the literature, and why? Okay, because this is a special circumstance, so my finding is different from the previous. Then in the theoretical implication, you want to talk more about the big picture, not just the, okay, I find A effective, but okay, how this will extend the theory. Okay, I find this theory doesn't apply in this setting, so we a new thinking of this phenomenon. And practical implications, just as Mariana just mentioned, you don't want to replicate, right? You want some concrete suggestions, a detailed, actionable suggestions for managers. So if the industry people read your paper, that's the only section I guess they will read. And you want to provide them with some actionable suggestions, just like a consulting paper. You can go back and, okay, this is the one thing we can do in the future. So then limitation of future research, some common limitations always apply for every single research example. So there's no way any research can sample everyone in the earth. So there's always a limitation to sampling. So and also there's like unincluded variables. That's another common limitation that you propose this model. So your model is always only limited to the variables you propose. So there's always other variables you have not considered in this model. That's always what you do as well. There are other limitations, but not generalized, cannot be generalized to every single study. So the specific study will have specific limitations as well. Joanne, do you want to add anything onto the structure?
Thank you, Cici. I believe Dr. Liang, she outlines a very well designed structure. Although maybe different authors, they have a different thoughts. I think this is a great template that you can follow. But just remember, okay, we look as a according to our experience, we're looking for how can you answer so what question, just like Cici, she already mentioned in the slide, and also justify why your research is important, why we need to spend 10 pages, 20 pages to publish your article. Thank you, Cici. I think we can move on.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, next is the abstract. So Mariana also mentioned about the abstract. So abstract is, so we think about abstract, we want to think about this whole thing, or the importance of your first impression. So if you look at these two sets of the pictures, who do you think is more professional? It's like they are totally like two people, right? Just because they just are different. So your abstract is like your jet. And editors, reviewers, that's the first thing they read, and maybe for editors, that's the only thing they read before they decide to even reject your paper. So that's definitely the first thing. But that's usually the last thing we write, and that's when we are so exhausted. Like, okay, I'm finally done with my manuscript writing. Now I'm writing my abstract. So when you're not fresh, you don't write your abstract. And so really abstract as a reviewer, I've seen abstract that doesn't even, I don't even after I read the abstract, I don't know what that study is talking about. So that's not something you want to do. So even the science editor said that abstract is the most important part of your manuscript. So in the abstract, what you want to have in your abstract would be, if you want to identify the theory, so that shows your study is supported by theory, it will have significant theory contribution. You want to specify your results. And I'm not sure it's just me, but I hate to see people use 1, 2, 3, 4 in the abstract. So I'm like, it's just 100 words. You can do a better job to highlight the most interesting results in your abstract. And that's something that catch everyone's eyes, not just 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you also want to highlight some practical implications, not just saying this study has practical implications, but okay, it helps marketing, digital marketing, influencer marketing, whatever. Joanne, you want to say anything about the abstract?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Cici. For the abstract, I also want to add one more comments. I sometimes I see the authors, they include some in-text citation in the abstract, and that is we don't encourage. Okay, just like what CCI she shared here. The abstract is the first impression, so you can catch our eyes and your reader's eyes, and be sure you present the essential information you would like to share with your readers. Yeah, but do not include any in-text citation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. So last but not least is your title. Sometimes you can write title before abstract, that's fine, right? But both of them, I would recommend you to think, even if you have a title, you may already have a title before you write your manuscript. I want you to go back to a title and think if your title really reflects the whole manuscript. So go back to your title at the end with your abstract, because those are the two things that definitely Angela will read, and that's the thing that reviewers read first, because that's your first impression. And shorter is better. And then we all know SEO, right? Search engine marketing, search engine optimization. So you want to design a title that will be catched by the search engine. So Mariana said that in our journal, we don't push authors to cite ourselves, but nobody will not like citations, right? Everyone likes citations. Author likes citations, editor likes citations, as long as it becomes natural, right? So the title is just like your marketing logo, slogan. You want to design a marketing slogan that will catch people's eyes, that will bring people to the journal, bring people to your article, will read your article. And you really want to avoid filler words. I will talk about filler words again. But definitely don't put the words that doesn't add anything to the meaning. Like the title should be short, it should be to the point, but it shouldn't have something that, what that means, what does that word related to your study. And don't have abbreviations. I don't even like abbreviations in abstract, because it's just anytime you have abbreviations that makes people think another second to understand what that is. Unless it's a super common abbreviation like WTO, that's fine. Like everyone look at WTO will know what it is. But don't include abbreviations. Don't include non-normal abbreviations, that especially in title and abstract. If you want people to read it smoothly, they can understand it in their first impression. And metaphor is something I think it's debating. Some journals doesn't like metaphor in the title. Some journals think, okay, metaphor will make the title attractive. So it really depends on the journal. I have some articles I published that has the metaphor in the title, like a picture is worth 1,000 words, and then whatever the study is, right? So I do have that, and I will like, feeling younger with the older, and then whatever study is. So some journals like that, and some journals doesn't. So it really depends. Joanne, you want to add something for the title? Joanne?
Yes. Oh, are you asking me? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Okay.
Anything for title?
Oh, so for the title, I don't have additional comments to add, but just to ensure, Cici, she shared the shorter is better, but different journal has a different requirements. It's my understanding, like annals, they have a very limited title counting word limitation. But again, it's just if you can conceptualize or design your title is more eye-tracking, eye-tracking and eye-catching and more appealing. Okay, and I think the title is it has the equal importance like the abstract it does. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next will be some tips, really tips. First, a group of general writing, so your language, your sentences. So several things I want to point out here. First is write concisely and keep your sentence short. I'm not a native speaker, and I've noticed this from many PhD students who are not native speakers. I don't know about native speakers have that problem, but they like to write one sentence for 4 lines, 5 lines. Look at the whole manuscript. break it into 2 sentences, break it into 3 sentences, so people can understand the meaning of the sentence better. So really keep the sentence short. Don't use those clauses, dependent clauses. You will see that in some of the manuscripts as a reviewer, one sentence is a whole paragraph. And you read again, and still don't understand. That happens. So it is so common in PhD students with like non-native speaker PhD students. When they start research, they want to use a super long sentence to think, oh, I'm using never to make this sentence so beautiful. Or no, just make it short. And another thing I learned is you only need 8th grade level English scale to write a manuscript. So 8th level, so that's the middle school. So my son's 13 years old, he's in 8th level. So I only need a vocabulary, I only need English writing skills as a middle school student in order to complete the whole manuscript. You're not writing novels, you're not writing a New York Times bestseller. You're not writing for like a Nobel Prize, right? You're just writing something that people can understand. You are writing something that tells your story. That's it. You're not competing for any writing prize. So you only need 8th grade level. That means you want to keep your sentence shorter that conveys the meaning, not make the sentence 4, 5 lines long that people don't even understand what you're talking about. And definitely professional editing service really helps. Even I collaborate with native speakers, we still send our manuscript to professional editing service before we submit. So it's always helps. Yeah. And nowadays, actually, you can probably even try ChatGPT if they want to do reading for you. That saves your money too.
Let's see. Oh, here. Why this one is so? I try to hide this. Huh? How do I hide? Oh,
It will disappear by itself.
okay. It doesn't. That's
You go away.
Thank you.
So another last 2 tips is first, you want to avoid filler words, not just in the title, but also in the article itself. All journals have word limit, so you don't want to put in a lot of words, phrases that doesn't convey anything. So you want to really write exactly, avoid those filler words, just to say what you want to say, right? Just to say what your research is about, just say your results. And the last thing is use figures, use tables. Like I really look at it like when I review paper, I always look at the figures first. And you will be surprised, you're going to see so many manuscripts that have hypotheses, but they don't put it in a research framework like in a figure. And yeah, it's a figure will really help reviewers, other audience to visualize your will, like all how your concepts related to each other. Another tip here is you may use SVM for your study, right? So if you use PLS SVM, it does have the output. Look copy-paste. And it's ugly. That is really, really ugly. That those blue circles, if you use PLS SVM, you know what I mean? It doesn't take you that long to convey your findings and numbers and then redraw the figure in Word or PowerPoint or whatever the figure software to make it pretty. Don't just copy that PLS XM output and just copy and paste. It just doesn't look that nice. It doesn't add anything. Like it will make your manuscript look not that professional. Anything you want to add, Joanne, for general writing?
I think I would like to echo what CC you shared. A picture is worth 1,000 words. I would suggest and encourage all the authors or all the audience here. Again, please refer to APA, the latest version, to conceptualize it, so to structure your figures and tables, and ensure your tables and figures name are included. Because sometimes when I read manuscripts, I will very often get lost. Maybe perhaps the authors, they forgot to include the figures and tables number, like a figure 1 or table 1 in their test. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. You're actually ahead because we do have the formatting tips here too. So formatting tips, because I work with so many Chinese scholars, so this is a really common problem I had with my collaborators, my PhD students. They really like to use the word in different language. What happens is sometimes you'll see those punctuations that's not in English, the indents is different. So it's just it's very small things, but it just doesn't give the reviewers a good first impression of the whole manuscript how it looks. So I definitely encourage you to use the English version because that will give you at least all the punctuations written in English. You will be surprised. Sometimes you'll see a punctuation that is a Chinese comma or a Chinese period in the manuscript. Anyway, and then the APA 7 style is the one that commonly accepted globally. So you want to go and look at what is the margin, what is the indent, and it is left aligned. I don't know, but it's probably just me. When I review paper, I saw that it's not left aligned. I just feel like uncomfortable reading those. Whether it's justified or unnecessary. I don't know. I just feel like left aligned is something I really would like to see. Avoid use of acronyms. It's just hard to understand. I know you use acronyms in tables and figures to save space, but you need a note for every single table. Even if you have a note in the table 1, if you use acronym in table 2, you need a note in table 2 as well. So you need a note for every single table, you use acronym. For every single figure, you use acronym. Don't use it in writing. It's just hard to understand. So I had an experience with your paper. They use FDA as the acronym. And in the US, FDA is such a common acronym for the Federal Drug Administration or something. Yeah, right? But they use FDA to refer to food, what, distribution agency or something? Now, this is like, I'm like, okay, I'm over there. Now I'm here. So it's just so hard for me to read that paper. If you use, so that's why you don't use acronyms when you read the paper. That reviewers will like, and I reject that paper. Yes. Not just because of FDA. There are other issues, but FDA is above that. Stay in my mind now. And pay attention to details. Just like stat, like punctuation, there was a time I submitted a manuscript and I got a reviewer into the comment said, one paragraph spacing is different than other paragraphs. So if you just look at the format, so it really depends. Some reviewers are more detail oriented, but that's the comment I got from that reviewer said, oh, this paragraph, the spacing is different. So maybe this paragraph is 1.5 line spacing, the other paragraph is one single line spacing. So there's that comment. It was not rejected, but it's still a comment that means the viewers did look at the format. It's not just me, I guess. Joanne, you want to add anything for the format?
Yes, I do highly agree with the comment, the bullet point, the point of the pay attention to details. I would like to share with the audience here. Please remember our reviewer, their time are really precious, and they are volunteer to do the review your manuscripts. So the well manuscripts you prepare, okay, it could increase and it could create the great impression of editors and the reviewers. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, when I look as a reviewer, I see something like a format really ugly, and then I will try to pick, okay, this is the problem. But if you see something looks nice, then you probably will do something nicer. I guess some reviewers think the same. So submitting tips that, okay, the first one, as Joanne already mentioned, and also Miranda said that you want to look at the scope of the journal to decide which one you want to submit to. And then you want to go into the author guidelines, read it sentence by sentence to see the format. Because we all have that experience that article, I submit articles to one journal, it is rejected. Now I need to submit to the second journal, right? But don't submit it like you have to prepare it. Don't just submit it when after you get a rejection. Don't just submit exactly same paper. There must be each journal has its own author guidelines. So you study that and then see what is different the journal between journals. Preparing submission documents. One thing I really want to highlight here is do read your proof. You will be surprised people don't read their proofs because it is very obvious. For example, for JHTM, we do not have those automatic line numbers. We do not. So if you submit, you need to include the line numbers on the right side in your Word file before you submit. But then I think annals, they do have those automatic line numbers, and then some other journals they do, right? So if you then say, okay, you submitted to JHTM, rejected, and then you submitted to another journal, and then when you're done with your proof, you will clearly see that you have 2 line numbers. So just look at a proof, you'll say, oh yeah, I need to take off those line numbers, otherwise it's confusing for reviewers, right? So that's just the very small things that look at your proof and then just go back and change it. It's pretty easy very easy, just 1 second. Joanne wants to share anything for submission?
I think you make a really great point. Yeah, so like for tourism management, they request the impact statement, but our journal JHTM we don't at this point. So just submit the needed or requested documents to the system. Yeah.
Thank you. And Joanne, this is your slide.
Okay, and thank you, Cici. I will use this slide to summarize great insights you already received from our editor-in-chief Mariana and Cici. I would suggest every time when you submit your manuscript to JHTM, okay, revisit the American Psychological Association, the top 5, okay, the checklist we just shared with you earlier, okay, to make sure your study is it has the origin, valid, and significant contribution theoretically and practically, okay, to the area in tourism, hospitality, and events, okay, that meet JHTM's scope, and also convince your research design, your variables, the construct, and the instruments clearly, okay, and to your content. And lastly, I would say just ensure, okay, your form, does your form follow the style prescribed in our JHTM website? Again, if the well you prepare your manuscript, then the higher chance you can pass the desk review. So this is the top 3 general advice to get your manuscript pass the desk review, and we hope this help. If you really follow what we suggest and share with you today, then you might be able to receive the revision, okay, opportunity. And then I will CC to share with you if you are really fortunate and you are really you received the revision opportunity, what tips you should pay attention. Okay, CC.
Yes. So just as Joanne said, okay, you followed all the tips we shared, then okay, you pass the first round, and now you get the revision, now you get the reviewers' comments, what to do. Yeah, you will think it's a stupid tip, but I do see as a reviewer, it's very interesting that authors will share their identity in the response letter. I've seen it not once. Okay, so I don't know why. That's not really ethical, so try to make sure you don't do that. Also response form. And you will see that, okay, there are some people, they don't submit that also response form. I don't know why, but it would be required when you do the revision, you need to submit your revised manuscript with those changes highlighted, and together with this also response form, like with the point-on-point response. One thing I want to highlight for your revised manuscript is you cannot have the check change on your Word file. That's another thing that why you need to read your proof. If you read your proof, you won't submit. You won't even click that submit button. If your manuscript has that check change on when you download it in PDF, that's just a mess. That is just a mess. If you have that tried, you can try to see how that mess will look. So you should have your manuscript in a clean Word file with just check, highlight, change, highlight. Highlight, change, otherwise the reviewer will come back to you and say, oh, I don't want to read the next guide. Please highlight, change. Then I have to go back to the authors and then come and ask them to submit a highlight, change version. So don't have that check change on and just in PDF file, it makes so messy. And the response form, sometimes you will see those unrealistic comments, and then it is okay to defend yourself as long as you can really justify what you did is correct and what their comment is unrealistic. And also, if that is, so I will give you an example. So I submit an article to JHTM in the past, and so I did like a review of top tourism journal, right? So I have a list of top tourism journals that definitely includes annals, ATR, stuff like that, right? Some of the reviewers' comments says, do you identify top tourism journals? For example, why Annals of Tourism Research is a top journal. How do you respond to that? I take that off, right? I need to help Annals of Tourism Research, but that's not hard. I did not. So I kind of define myself and said, okay, let's say some impact factor and then blah, blah, blah. And I also included in the cover letter. So remember, editors will read the cover letter. So I do have the bullet points. If that's really a big thing that you think you need to defend yourself, I would definitely encourage you to summarize it. Don't just copy and paste, but do a summary and include that in the cover letter so actually know why you are not revised according based on the comments. And the last thing is, it is okay to ask a question. The only exception I would say is for special issues, because many times special issues that does have hard deadlines, so sometimes it would be harder to get extension. Joanne?
Yes, yeah, I do have two more. Thank you, Cici, for your sharing. I do have two more comments to add and top on Cici's slide. The first one is the author's response form. I will encourage and suggest the authors here, when you construct your author response form, just ensure you systematically answer the reviewer their questions. Don't just skip their questions. Okay, I can guarantee you, the reviewer, they take their time, so they treat your manuscripts seriously. So they will read each comment they provided. So do not just skip their comments. The second is highlight a change in clean water version. You might be surprised how often we see the authors, when they submit their revised manuscripts, they use the track change. Using a track change is okay, but you need to, I'm sorry, using a track change will cause, like the author's identification revealed in the manuscript. Okay, so just ensure, again, I think all the details you acted, it represents, okay, how serious you treat your manuscript to be submitted to JHTM. Yeah. Thank you, Cici.
Thank you, Joanne. And then that concludes our presentation. And here are our emails here. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to email us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. I will return the rest of your Sunday night to you. It's 8:30 in Iowa, so I'm fully aware that. Thank you for your time, and I will just
My pleasure.
shut the Zoom meeting.
Okay. My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. 감사합니다.
And bye. I hope to see you next year. We will be in Bangkok. So.
Yeah.